Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to my channel, wherever you are in the world. I am the Whispering Angel, and I am bringing you a message from Spirit this week for the week commencing the 23rd of March. But please know that this message will find you when it's meant to and is therefore timeless. The overarching message from Spirit this week is tying up loose ends so that we can move forwards. And Spirit really wanted me to highlight that this week it's going to be a week of singing from a different hymn sheet and doing your own thing, not following the crowd. They're encouraging us to get loose ends tied up before we move forwards so that we're not holding ourselves back, and therefore that you are closing old energy cycles before you loop back in again. They also are encouraging us to focus on the here and now. There's a lot of fear and anxiety in the world at the moment, and it's easy to get trapped and looped into that. But what Spirit is encouraging us to do is to just focus on what we can control, and each and every day trying to be grateful where possible, so that we can build up those moments of positivity in our day, even if they are small. And by doing so, we can build that positive energy, and then it leads to greater feelings of security and comfort. Because if we attach to and get drawn into the cycles of fear, especially in the world events that are outside of our area of control, that only further increases that fear. It also makes us feel helpless, vulnerable, and further stressed. So Spirit is encouraging us to be mindful of the here and now, because that is all that we can control. So let's get into the cards. So the first card that came out this week was Unfinished Symphony, which loops really nicely into the message from Spirit. So Spirit wants us to focus this week. What have we got going on in the background of our lives that is holding us back? What energies are dragging us and keeping us in the past? They really want us to look at things this week and see if there's any loose ends that we can start tying up. And by doing that, we can then finish that energy cycle, close it, and then move forwards. Because if we have all these things going on in the background that are looping round and round, that also increases our fear, our stress, our frustration levels, and that can impact our general well-being, our stress levels, our sleep, our motivation to do things. And Spirit really wants to encourage us this week. Look at what you've got playing on in the background. Is there an email that you haven't answered? Is there a report that you haven't finished writing? Is there a difficult thing that you've been putting off because you just haven't been able to get into it? Is there a tax return that you should have done and you haven't done it? Spirit is saying just make a little list of things that you know are going on in the background and just start ticking them off one by one. Because by doing that, you will feel so much better. Because what I'm really tapping into is this energy that's in the collective moment is one of fatigue, stress, anxiety, and just a general apathy. We're just not getting that level of enjoyment out of things that we were before, which is completely understandable. But Spirit is saying just focus on these little areas where you can make a change and make a difference. And that will start feeding into the positive loop cycle rather than the negative loop cycle. Now, the Nine of Swords is really traditionally about sleepless nights, which can be due to worry, stress, fatigue. You know, it's what are the monsters under the bed that are keeping you awake? What are those things in your subconscious that are keeping you awake? And what Spirit wants you to do is have a look at what you can deal with this week in order to face those fears or face the reasons why you're stressed, and start trying to change things bit by bit if you can. Because once you do that, you're going to sense, you're going to feel free and more free, and like the weight of the world is coming off your shoulders. And Spirit will say you'll feel so much better than you realise you can do, because I am sensing a really heavy energy in the collective this week. But if we can get our sleep a little bit better, we will feel more energised, more focused, we'll be clearer in our mind and our thoughts, and we'll have more energy to start moving forwards, because this Page of Swords energy is buoyant, he's determined, he's full of beans. And you may feel far from that, but Spirit is saying this energy can come in quickly if we start closing these old loop cycles, okay, which will decrease our fear, our anxiety and our stress, and will enable us to step a bit more into this energy, which will give us that little push forwards this week. Okay, Spirit is showing me how strong you are and how strong you have been to get through all that you have gone through. They can see everything, and they want to give you a big pat on the back and say how proud they are of you this week. Because despite everything that you've been through, you are still very grounded, kind and nurturing. So Spirit is saying, try and look to the future to give yourself that spark of inspiration in order to get more into this energy and this drive here, okay? Follow your passion, because I'm really feeling a bubbling energy in the collective of your burning desires and your burning passion, and what would get you out of bed with a hop in your step in the morning. It doesn't have to be a change in career, but if there's something that you really want to do, try and make a little bit of time this week to do something like that you would really enjoy, whether that's painting a picture, baking a cake, listening to some music, watching a film, eating a packet of sweets, you know, whatever you feel that you really want to do, just do a little bit of that, and then you can build yourself up bit by bit, okay? Because Spirit is really saying, look to the horizon. Don't look behind. Don't get stuck in the past. Look forward. Look at all these little seeds that you've been planting for your life, okay? And then when you look towards the sun, all the shadows are blown away. And that dark energy that's keeping us trapped, of fear, of anxiety, of stress, just gets lit up. And there's no room for it anymore. So Spirit is saying, look, you're anchored, you're safe, but just look to the horizon, look at what you're capable of, look where you're going and where your joys and your hopes and your wishes and your dreams are, because that's what's going to get you through all of this. And again, these are beautiful cards here. Letting go, surrendering to the ebbing and flowing of life and following your bliss. So again, this feeds actually really nicely into the energy that was coming through in these cards. It's about letting go of what we were saying before, what you can and you can't control. Because if you get focused on all the negativity and all the things outside of your control, it really builds up frustration and stress. Of course, there's going to be a lot of things going on in the world which are affecting us, either directly or indirectly. And Spirit sees that. But what they want us to do is just to look after ourselves a little bit and try and let go of things that are holding us back from living a more happy, energetic and uplifting life. Because they say you absolutely can break barriers. The light is now coming in, as we were talking about on this card. You can chop your way through these thorns that have been holding you back, because there's new life coming in here. There's change, there's hope, there's renewal, there's blossoming towards the light to enable that light to clear away any negative energy and to energise you moving forward. And look, these are beautiful cards as well. So message of hope, luck and change. So what Spirit is really saying this week, as we've said, is please look at your life and things that are going on in your life this week. It may feel overwhelming, but let's start on focusing really small and start off with just one thing. Where and what can you do today in order to start tying up those loose ends? What is outstanding that really needs to be done? Make it really, really small, and then you can build on that. And the more you build on that, the more, as we said before, closes these negative loop cycles. And then we can move forwards with a vigour in our step, with hope, with encouragement, with light. So I hope that helps this week. I'm wishing you all a wonderful week, and I will see you soon. Thank you.